trillion swing. President Obama comes in, first year, he reduces the deficit, which is what contributes to national debt, by $700 billion.
Are stimulus checks going to be sent out immediately? Well, there has been new released information on $2,000 stimulus checks. The lawmakers are now negotiating on $100 stimulus payments. The gas prices are soaring nationwide, and AAA reports that the national average cost of a gallon of gas hit $5.16 as of June 14th. This is the all-time record high price, and since many people cannot eliminate gasoline usage or even significantly cut down their fuel costs, these surging prices have hit hard. As a result, lawmakers are naturally considering ways to provide relief, including potentially sending out another stimulus payment. Proposals to help the public cope with gas prices exist at the federal level as well as in some states. One plan put forth on the federal level, for example, is called the Gas Rebate Act of 2022. It would provide a monthly rebate during any month when the national average cost of gas is $4 or more. The rebate would last through the end of 2022 and would total $100 per adult and per dependent for single filers earning less than $75,000 or joint filers earning less than $150,000. It would phase out at higher income levels, with single filers getting no rebate once their income topped $80,000. And married joint filers losing the rebate with an income of $160,000 or higher. Now, state plans exist in certain locations because in early June, for example, North Carolina Democrats put forth a plan to send money to residents via check or debit card. The money would come in the form of a $200 rebate to North Carolina residents and would be available by October 1st to anyone who is 18 or over. Now, this is a bit different from the past stimulus checks that have come from the federal government because those were able to be deposited into people's bank accounts if they provided the information, and while these payments would come in the form of a debit card or check only. So the child tax credit in 2022 will return to conditions offered by the IRS before the American Rescue Plan expanded it. The amount of the credit is smaller, and eligibility is more restricted than last year. Under the rules which were established through the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. These changes will be in effect through the 2025 fiscal year if no action is taken by Congress to modify the credit before then. A big change to help many families last year was, instead of receiving monthly installments on the credit they did from July to December of 2021, the money will be distributed in the form of a single tax credit, which will reduce the size of the recipient's tax bill or increase their tax refund. Taxpayers with eligible children will be able to claim a credit worth up to $2,000 per child, and this year the credit is partially refundable and there is an earnings threshold. To be able to start claiming up to $1,400 portion known as the additional child tax credit. Taxpayers who owe less in taxes than the refundable amount will have it added to their tax refund. The non-refundable portion will reduce taxes owed dollar for dollar. The 2022 child tax credit is available to parents with dependents under the age of 17 at the end of the year, December 31st, 2022, and who meet certain eligibility requirements. And under the credit, children ages 17 were eligible for the full amount of the much larger 2021 child tax credit. Many studies have linked the 12-month child tax credit expansion to a decrease in child poverty, and first-hand accounts for those who received the payments occurred.
Who opposed me on that score. I always, when people have a suggestion, I say, does it create jobs? Does it create jobs? Does it reduce the deficit? The national debt. I mean, let's go bigger. The national debt. So And we always were. In any of the proposals that we put forth, whether it was 3.5 or 1.75 or whatever it was, we always had the thought that we would be reducing the national debt and all of that. And if you look at the history, it's under Democratic presidents that the national debt has been reduced. The deficit greatly reduced under President Biden. Check that out. And under President Clinton, we had pay-go instituted for the first time in an overall presidency, a little bit under President George Herbert Walker Bush at the negotiations at Andrews Air Force Base. But as a presidency, Bill Clinton, the last 4 or 5, depending on how you judge it, budgets either in balance or in surplus operationally, taking us to reducing the national debt in a significant way, completely turned around under President Bush. The biggest reversal in how a budget deficit, national debt grows, from on a path to reduce by $5.4 trillion to increasing by $5.4 trillion in 11 years. went from like 1.5 to 500, that almost a $1 trillion reduction in the national debt right away under President Obama. So this is a value that we share. And one of for a couple reasons. First of all, it's the right thing to do. But in addition to that, we're just sick and tired of paying debt service, interest on the loan. Well, that's money that could be invested in our children's education and the well-being of the American people, and of course, reducing the national debt. So
the gentlewoman from Texas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House. 3 minutes.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
I am delighted to be yielded to by the gentlelady and thank her for her championing this outstanding legislation. And I thank my good friend for acknowledging the en bloc. And I would like to say that there is good news. The good news is that Recovering America's Wildlife Act is a once-in-a-generation funding for the conservation of threatened species of animals and plants, as well as habitat preservation. And I'll discuss the importance of it as I also present to the body my amendment. But let me first of all say I pay tribute to Ellison, 7 years old, and to Roy, 7 years old, my twin grandchildren, who love every species that they can find within their backyard or any place else that you would take them. I see in their lifetime the vision of this legislation. They love the outdoors. They love to see crawling things, and they are both a boy and a girl. But yet, what are we facing today? The world is facing an unprecedented loss of wildlife. Bird populations have declined almost 30% in U.S. and Canada since 1970. Over 40% of America's freshwater fish are at risk of extinction. And state agencies have identified 12,000 species of wildlife in need of conservation. The Speaker knows that we experienced, Texas and Louisiana, a catastrophic oil spill some years ago. I remember visiting oyster fishermen and others who were devastated. We need to get in there and make a difference. 12,000 species are currently identified as endangered in the United States, and 1,300 of them are in my state of Texas. As I said, fishermen are still crying out for help. Climate change poses unprecedented challenge to plant, animal, and animal species due to wildfires, droughts, floods, temperature shifts. Hurricane Harvey devastated the coast and the opportunities for wildlife. The resulting threat to biodiversity has the potential to disrupt our ecosystem and with it human quality of life and sustainability. Urban sprawl, as well as development of suburbs and exurbs, all encroach on the habitat that supports biodiversity, and it has ripple effects that compound the degradation of our environment from climate change.